Okay. I'm going to start. Thank you so much. This is really great. It's a crowded and very tight room. Thank you for coming to this 3Place event. We have a lot of nice artists and organizations here today that we will talk to during these 2 hours. First, I'll tell you a little bit about the 3Place project, but most of you already know because I sent it, some text, so you know the basics. And the reason I did that was that we probably should try to get to the core and really dig into the topic a bit more. So the performing arts as the 3rd place for the young audience is the project that we are hosting a festival visit for on Showbox 2023. It's supported by Creative Europe and it runs through 2025. So we just ended our first year. It's with the it's with Junges Ensemble, DRAK and Scenkunstbruket, an affiliated entity Kloden that is connected to the project. And okay, so the goal, this is the essence of the goal. I haven't cleared this with you. But I wanted just to have like, what are we really trying to do? And we're performing arts organizations, and what we do is build relations to the audience in different ways. So our goal is to make performing arts a place where the young choose to meet and feel at home. And that could also be the physical location, but also the art experience that I will mention later. So there's a lot of theories about 3rd places in sociology, art theory, urban planning, but the one that we are using here is this one. It's very low. So it's a safe place where individuals gather to share a common purpose, engage in creative expression, and develop a sense of belonging. A part of the project is to have a transfer of knowledge between different parts of the field. So that's why we have invited so many people here to talk and share practices, knowledge, mythology, experiences, and how they work with their art. Vega Scene is our collaborating partner in this event, since they're our main venue for Showbox 2023, so we're really grateful. So the 3rd place, it could be, as I said, a physical location, but it can also be something in between, something that you inhabit. That's often it's defined as, something that you inhabit yourself. It doesn't have to be a social place. It could be a place in your own, a mental place. It can be an art experience, an imaginary place, online communities, of course, that's for a lot of people, gaming communities. A very important place. So in this project, we're going to look at 3 entries to the 3rd place. It's the physical location, art, and how we involve the youngsters. And then with main focus on the young that might not already be a part of the performing arts field. Yes, so then... no, wait. Yes, Ine first, then I'll give the word to Ine.
First. Thank you. Oh, that's very strong light. Okay, my name is Therese Berg, and I'm an associate professor at NTNU in Trondheim. And when I read about this project, it was on Facebook actually, when you had gotten the grant, I was like, oh wow, this is a very interesting concept, 3rd space. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be the moderator today, and I thought I'd just kind of open things up a little bit by, setting the tone and just sharing some of my kind of reactions to this concept. Yeah. I mean, why do I think this is a really relevant concept today? So we're at a time where theater is challenged from very different sides. We're at a time of scarcity. We see that the audiences in the theaters are getting older, and many young people don't see the relevance, and they don't feel that they belong in the theater. So that's kind of dual challenges. We also see that there's increasing cultural political pressure for theaters and artists to kind of prove their relevance to society. That's another thing. And then one question is, okay, how did we get here? So there are several different possible interpretations or analyses, but one is that we are at a point where the arts have become very specialized. So that means that maybe we've moved away from a place where everyone feels that they can belong in a way. So that's at least one kind of challenge I think that we can think about together, especially in terms of young people. And then since I work at the university and I teach theater history, I also think about these kind of historical context for theater as a relevant kind of context also for our talk, because if we go back a few hundred years, theater was maybe more of like a sociable place, a place for community. Even the theater where they played, what we think of as classical plays today, where today we sit in silence and watch them. But if you've seen, for example, a film from the 1990s based on Cyrano de Berg, it's with Gérard Depardieu. It's a performance. They come into a theater in Paris. It's in the 1600s. And people are everywhere in the room mingling. They're eating, sitting on the floor, playing, cards or dice. And people are fighting, flirting, really living it up. So that's one kind of reference. And this is very far from what most people think of when they think about theater today. And another reference is, which is contemporary. It's from a village in Bangladesh, in the countryside. It's the audience of a jatra performance, which goes on for a long time, where people are sitting, they are also eating, they have their small babies, they're chatting all the time, constantly. And then when something interesting is happening on stage, they become quiet. You see the silence everywhere, and people are following what's happening. So it's a very sociable place. So this is kind of, I'm interested in how, when we see this concept of third place, it's not only about producing art, right? And contemplating and consuming art. It's also about the sociability, which I think has been very inherent in the theater. So I'm not saying that we should go back to that, but it's kind of a context. So I'm not going to talk so much more. Just wanted to kind of plant some ideas and contexts in your minds. And I also want to say that we have a break in a while after we have presentations from the different theaters and artists that we have invited, or you have invited. And we have some paper, and we would like to encourage you to share with us some challenges that you think about when you think about this third space concept, and also some methodologies that you might want to share, some ideas for how to create a space that young people feel encouraged to live in and inhabit and be creative in. And then for our second part, we are going to open up for comments and questions, so that's also a time to share. Yes. Okay, that's it. And yes, Junges and Stuttgart, please let us know a little bit about your project.
So thank you very much for the invitation. I'm Frederic Lilje. I'm from Junges Ensemble Stuttgart. I'm here with Grete and Yolanda and Cezin. Maybe you can wave if you have a question. We came as a big delegation, and I'm very happy that we could come and have the honor to present our institution. So we're from Stuttgart in the south of Germany. We're a children and youth theater, or theater for young audiences. We are based, and maybe this is interesting for the discussion later, we're based in the center of the city, which is industrial, there are shops and schools, but no one lives there. So we found out that this is a challenge for a third place. So we exist now for 20 years, the theater, and we mainly do three things. We produce our own shows. As maybe people know, in Germany, the system is that we have an ensemble that is with us at the house. So we produce around 6 to 8 shows for kids from 2 up to how long they want to come and bring their families, and for adults. Then we have a big department for theater and education. So we do theater and theater shows, but also other projects where we involve young people in our theater. In this department, we're 6 people working full-time with the young people. And we have an international festival which happens every 2 years, which is called Schöne Aussicht, which has around 10 international shows that we invite, but also it's a working meeting for the theaters from the state of Baden-Württemberg, so the southern state. So they come and join us for the whole festival, present some own work, but also watch as an inspiration the curated international program. I've selected a few pictures, and I tried to focus on how do we involve young people in the art that we make. This first picture is a picture from a project called the Child Labor Agency. We partnered with a group of 6 to 12-year-olds, and we, in 2 phases. The first phase, we looked how work works. So we had the kids go work in the city. They made contracts with people, they worked for them, they earned money, all in the frame of an art project, to see how work works. And then in the second phase, you can't see on the side, there's a building that we opened up an agency, and as an adult, you could come and have a consultation with one of the children and discuss your feelings and your opinions on your own work, and you have a 45-minute consultation by a child. This is a dance theater show, an urban dance theater show that we opened 2 years ago, our new season with the new team, and we paired some of our full-time actors with guests that are dancers. So we try to mix disciplines and try to find out how that works. This is a show called Die Bademattenrepublik. It's a show where we try to find out how democracy works, how to build a state. And the show is that we have 2 actors, and it's made for 2 school classes from 3rd and 4th grade. And they come and they become part of the country that these 2 actors have founded to fight someone from the outside. This is a show that we rehearse again right now at this moment. It's another dance show called Nach dem Ende von allem, where we try to tackle the idea of how the speed of the world at the moment and the sorrow and the feelings affect people. And it plays in a washroom, I don't know how to say it in English, like you see, laundromat, and people meet there and spend a moment together. This show is called Warum das Kind in der Polenta kocht, by an author called Aglaia Veterani. And we, for the first time, we tried something that we had 1 actress and 1 10-year-old, Nela is her name, and they rehearsed 6 weeks together, and they perform this show and tell the story of this. It's a story about a child and her sister, and both of them tell the story. That was it? Ah, no. Last show, it's a new show we have for 2-year-olds. Called Unsere große neue Welt. And there you see 1 actor from our ensemble, 1 dance pedagogue from our ensemble, and an actress we invited to perform with us. She's deaf, and we have 3 shows now with sign language interpreters on stage that are part of the show. And this is the first time that we work with a deaf actress to be part of the ensemble. And also what we try to do more and more, we have a second show now with audio description that we try from the beginning to put it into the show. That was the 6 minutes. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to discuss more questions later.
Where you see these projects stand in terms of the Third Space project. Is it, because you listed up, is it like the site, the space, or is it how you communicate with the audience through the, like opening up performances? Is that kind of for you the center of how you kind of engage with audiences through the artworks?
I think the pictures are mainly showing that side from the artistic side, and we try to incorporate young people in the work that we do for young people. So these are all shows for young people. We, for example, had another show called, it's a fantasy show, and we have a group called The Philosophers. It's a group that was founded at the festival 2 years ago, or 3 years ago, and they are now constantly part of our team. They're between 12 and 16 and are thinking theater with us. And they, for example, suggested fantasy, that they wanted to have a fantasy show, and then we discussed with them how this could look like, and now we have a show. So this is from the artistic side. I didn't include so many pictures from the side where we involve them in their artistic work or in discussions about the space. We will probably talk about it later, because we tried a few things in the third space.
Great, let's come back to that. Yeah, great, thank you.
Can you help me to make a loop? I just don't want to skip the... But I just want to keep it play. Just to let it go. Hello, I'm Tomáš. I'm from DRAK theater from Czechia, Hradec Králové. Okay, thank you. Yeah, much better. We are 4 here also. There with me is Bara, and Jana. So you can meet them, join them, ask them whatever you need or want. I just because we will dig in the discussion later, I just want to present ourselves. What kind of institution are we, and from what context we look to the on the Third Place project. So we are a municipal theater from Hradec Králové, which is a regional center of East Bohemia, 100 kilometers from Prague. We are a municipal theater for children and youth. We are quite old institution since we were founded in 1958. So it's 65 years now, and for the whole time we do works for children and youth. We came from the puppetry field of the theater, but since the field changed pretty much in the recent decades, so nowadays we have focused ourselves on let's say visual theater. In a general, we have a physical theater shows, live cinemas, puppetry, some visual drama things, and so on. Except for we have two stages. This is the main stage, the old one. Then we have a black box studio, but we also have an exhibit space when we can where we prepare interactive installation for kids and youth, which make for us possible to do our works in more wider concept than just the theater, and that's why we also became a member of a hands-on association, which is Association of Children's and Museum, that are dedicated to this hands-on concept, which means that you can put your hands on anything you find in the museum or gallery or the place. We also run one of the, in fact, biggest Czech theater festival. We are one of the co-organizer of this festival, and we are responsible for the program for children and youth and the visual art program, visual theater program. And we also have a very, very close collaboration with the Academy of Performing Arts in Prague, which we have a permanent contract of collaboration, which means that we are some kind of faculty theater in the way, for example, medical schools has it, that medical university has their own medical hospital. So we are such a kind of theater of this way. And that's why we also do one very huge project, which is called Gaudeamus Theatrum, and it's international meeting of the students of first grades of European artistic theater schools, which came to our theater three classes each year to meet there and have a one week workshop and searching different topic each year. So. We also have our own theater education department. So just in a general to say, we are focused to, or anything we do is work for children and youth, partly also work with children and youth, and also in the collaboration with the academy, the developing of this field of theater, all culture in general. I think. It's you. Sorry.
Får ta tida på meg selv, så. Ok. Ja, takk. Skal vi se. Ja, nå klarte jeg ikke helt ut. Dette er også fra DRAK. Skal vi se, Scenekunstbruket har jo egentlig hatt Third Place, altså tredjesteder som ganske gjennomgående i arbeidet sitt. Ja? Oh! Okay, so it was before jeg leste Scenekunstbruket. Okay, so we have actually worked with the concept of third places for 30 years. Next year, it's the organization is 30 years old, but not articulated and put into the system. So partly because Scenekunstbruket has followed the development of and been a resource in the development of the cultural school bag system in Norway. That is a big touring system. In the arts field, meaning that all school children will have a performing arts performance during a year. So what happens is that the spaces that they use, these artists, often is in, the second place, so that their schools. So it's in gyms, it's in schoolyards, classrooms. So in this transformation of places already inhabited by the kids, something happens. So this has been evolving, and the arts field in Norway has been a part of actually developing third places for 30 years or 25 years. So for us, we entered the project also because we wanted to artistically explore how we can change and facilitate and occupy the rooms that are not intended for art, and how that works, and also making it a safe place. So recently we've been doing artist development project. This is from a project called PUSH that developed artists. We have also been doing audience development projects. This is from TEEN. The TEEN project, and through this artist development and also through the audience development project, we felt like we have more to give, we have more we want to research. And then we moved to Økern, that's an industrial area in Oslo, and through that we also found ourselves as a national institution, suddenly very local, that we had a place in a physical location in Oslo that are developing. So through this, we entered this project, really wanted to explore ourselves as an organization and develop the art field, because the artists are the gold in this. As I said, the artists have been developing these third places for so many years. Yes, I think that's it. Thank you.
Quickly and ask you three, Tomáš, Frederic, and Gabriel, to think about for later how the concept of third space has changed or might change your kind of general operations. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Wenche and Ida from Landing. And you are so eager, all of you, to come up on stage, so you are introducing yourself and making my job very easy.
Yes, so we are some basic things. We work with dance and not with theater, that's why. We're very spatial aware. I don't know. Yes, okay. So we are landing. We call ourselves Landing in Norwegian. This is Wenche. I am Ida. We are a production unit, a group of artists. That is the two of us, the group. And we focus on making dance a project outside the theater space, in museums, in public spaces, and very often in schools. And that is because we are interested in the young audience. So we don't spend time, but like in this third place theory, we kind of talk about how to make the theater a third place, but we don't do that because we don't have a theater. So we meet them in a place where they hopefully feel at home and safe at the school. So when we got the invitation to have a little introduction here, what felt relevant for us in the third place theory was the thing about art. How do we create an art experience in which the young audience feels at home and included? And to us, some of the answer to that is to experiment with method and format, both in how the project is designed. Yeah, I'm not a friend with this. Ja, da får jeg skjermen. Ja, den kan bare henge. Yeah, okay. Yes, so we experiment with methods and formats, both in how the project is designed, in how the youth are included, and what kind of movements or actions we do. And I think a relevant project to talk about here is Parasitt-prosjektet that we did in Kuben videregående skole, where we invited ourselves as artists in residence. So we spent 8 weeks in the school. We were present during the whole school day. And we put our dance practice into the school building. In this way, the students could experience an artistic process and also see how artists work, and not only experience a finished choreography, which it never became also. It was not like one finished product. And some of them would relate to the fact that we chose to be on the school voluntarily, that we chose to work with them. They were like, why do you want to work with us? We are so hard to work with. Yes, we were so nervous when we entered the school. And some would connect with the fact that rolling on the floor was paid work. Being present and in constant exchange with the students made us produce formats that we would never make in the studio. We made small 5-minute scores that we would use when a student invited us to interrupt a lesson. We made movements specially designed to be in the cafeteria during lunchtime. And we made a dance quiz about Ohm's law for the electro students. So more than finding relevant thematics, we think we can make dance projects relevant for them in this way, as something that mixes into their everyday life. As you were talking about, Ine, the thing about the theater being like a very protected space that you have to enter and really want to be there. We think about like just go into people's life so they don't choose it. This also we do with other projects in public spaces. And for us, it is all about the quality of the meeting and to allow ourselves to be influenced by that. We think that this is important to point out, that on one side, we really want to bring dance to the people. Like we have this missionering, like it can be so good for you. But on the other hand, we want to challenge ourselves and our art making, and that is the main motivation for us, to have this friction to what we can do. And we also think it's important to stress regarding this question of how the art can be relevant for the young audience, that it is also not about giving them what they want.
Yeah. Just take it. Another aspect of the Third Place project that we felt we could relate to is the idea of having or establishing an alternative place, a place that opens up for something new or else. And Gabriele was also already in talking about this, but that we go there and rather than having a place or space outside the school, that we establish this on top of what is already there in the school context as an extra layer or as an alternative way of being in, using and thinking about the spaces that we are already in. Or also we can think about it maybe as an alternative dimension or universe. And in this, we are not so interested in changing or pretending that it is a different space. It's more about using it and being in it in a different way. For example, this could be by moving differently than what is normally in these spaces. For example, moving horizontally rather than vertically through a hallway. Or using the room as a different, to a different purpose. For example, using the classroom as a dance floor or a disco. Or sometimes it's also about changing the rooms through building or making something new in them. Like you saw in the first pictures, we had these long sausages or lianes that we were building things on top of what is already there. Like building a slide down a stairways, for example. Yeah, and then we also invite the youngsters to be a part of deciding which part of the school or which, that we want to do something new with or transform. And in this changing, we are very occupied with how we can be bodies in different ways and how we can. What we can do with our bodies in different ways in the school building. And the last thing I want to say is in this we are not so interested in establishing something that lasts. It's more about the experience there and then. And rather than also here it's I feel when we go to the schools, it's a potential there that they don't really recognize us as art or as dance immediately. And here there's a potential for something interesting in relation to aesthetic experience that you don't have when you bring them to the theater, where they already know that it's art they perceive. Yeah, that's...
I just want to... No, it's fine. Just go on. This last issue is something that I would like to come back to. So, keep that in mind. I would really like to talk more about that. Yep. Yeah, thank you. Anna Eknes from Pantarei.
Yes, thank you. My name is Anne Eknes, and I'm the artistic director of Pantarei Danseteater. We are a company like Landing who doesn't have our own house, so we love creeping into other people's places and spaces. And collaboration is maybe one of our key elements to success, we think. How can we collaborate and who do we collaborate with? And how can we, together with the collaborative partner, create these spaces and places that feel safe to the people that we work with, and also to children and youth in particular. We have 4 main focuses, and that is 1, artistic practice. We really want to give ownership to dance to more people. That's maybe our mission in life. And we really want to have this holistic kind of perspective on how we work. How can dance be more than just performances on stage or artistic practices in a local community? How can dance be something social, something that develops a community? We are also really interested then in outreach work. How can we creep into these societies to make this holistic perspective, and also to create equity? How can we gather everybody? And then we're also working a lot with professional development. So we love collaborating with other artists, and especially also young artists, sharing knowledge. And then, fourthly, we work on arena development. How can we create more arenas for dance that is beyond stage? So these are kind of our 4 kind of main elements of work. Just some examples. In terms of artistic practice, we made a performance called Make Me Dance that was actually performed here at Showbox also. But we also did the production at Rommen Scene at Stovner, and we collaborated with Dansens Hus. And together we collaborated with a refugee camp in Norway, or here in Oslo. And we, together, the 3 of us, tried to find out how can we create a safe space for these people that we invite in to Make Me Dance, and for them to participate in some way. And this was one of the key elements of opening up Make Me Dance to become something, both a social and an artistic space for these people. I could talk a lot about that project, but I don't think I have time. And an example for outreach, we have a national project called Tilt. And this project, we go into a certain number of communities each year, and we stay there for a year. And often what we do is to ask the local community, what do you need? What do you want? So we start out by asking that question. And it's funded by a gift from a foundation. So we actually tell them we have a gift, but we're going to pass this gift on to you, and you can fill this gift with anything you want. What do you want? But of course, knowing that we have the knowledge we have, and you have the knowledge you have, so how can we collaborate together to create this gift? We have a professional development program called Tilt Grow that involves 4 to 6 dance artists a year. And we really hope to share our knowledge with them so they can also dig into how dance can become a larger part of a community when they finish being part of the program, in addition to artistic development. Then arena development is important to us, and we have a project called Oslofjorden Danser, staging areas along the Oslo fjord, pathways, town, cities that is along the fjord. And we have also one promenade performance that's here in Oslo, and we involve the local community into those promenade performances. So these are 4 examples. This is Make Me Dance, the image, and the whole floor is filled with both the dancers and the local community, those audiences that come into the performance by the end of it. We have something that we see as maybe like a key into how we can make that third space as good as possible. And that is coming from psychology, really. And it's for something we called environmental contingencies. And that is how we can map out the space and how can we research that space to find out how we can optimize the space. And that is through social contingencies. It's physical environmental contingencies, it's motivational contingencies, helping, and also ways of meeting. If we can fill these 5,
with what we think is perfect for this local community, the projects always work. Almost always, is what we find. So thank you so much.
Thank you. So I'm just going to come with one more kind of like prompt based on what you're saying, because it seems to me that this is also an issue about competencies. So that's also something that we could talk about. What type of competencies do we need in order to create these third spaces? Yeah. So Tomáš from Østfold International Theater is going to present their work.
Frederic.
Yeah.
Hello, yes, I'm Tomáš. I'm the artistic director, and the regional theater, that means we are covering the whole region. So we also like a touring theater, and we also work a lot in public space. So I'm mainly going to talk about some projects, and Fredric's going to go deeper into one of the projects. And the first project is Building Conversation by Lotte van den Berg. This is dialogical art. It's based on the consumption that we talk a lot, but we don't train the way we talk. Like the different aspects of communication varies in cultural traditions, also through history, and also it's like different philosophical ways to have a conversation. So this is different sets of conversation, and it has a guide to it that leads the group into the rules of the conversation, and then the guide slips in to be a conversational partner. We have taken this around in schools as well, and we see it as a very important thing to actually, I mean, this is also creating a space where it's safe also to take, to disagree, you know, to train about having different opinions. Maybe it's not your own opinion, you take somebody else's opinion, but if you front it as a group or as an individual. And this training also is good for the group, I think, as an experience, but also like as a practice to make public space a safe space, which is, I think, you need to train on. We have a small venue in Fredrikstad, and we started something called Kunstfest. It's an art party, I don't know. And this is like we are close neighbors also to like the NTNU National Theatre Academy. So a lot of students there, and we made a format that maybe lasts between like 6 and 8 hours. It's more like a social concept. The whole theater is used, all the rooms, and it's different pop-ups of performances and like a diversity of artistic expressions. It makes it like it's a lower threshold to come in, and maybe you experience something that you haven't experienced before. And we started to lower the prices for those who dressed up. So in a couple of those who dressed up get in very cheaply, and people really got into that. And it kind of mixes who the performer are, because they're also using the bar and suddenly pop-up performances, and you don't kind of see who's performing and not. And it started to attract people in a way that came alone, highly dressed up, people that we haven't seen before. So I think we just started to like look into what kind of format that could be attracting and other people, and also young people, and make that into a safe and maybe not third, but at least a place. Yeah. I also wanted to talk shortly before Frederic does about the project called In Search of Democracy. We've done that for some years now, and it's basically professionally illustrators talking to inhabitants about what they're missing in their town, and they make that conversation into illustration with some words, but drawings that is exhibited. It's also printed out in books and things like that, but it's a way of like sharing ideas and reflections in another way. And we've done that in also with different types of kids and youth. We're going up later actually to Gjerdrum, where we talked with all the primary school kids about what to do with the hole in Gjerdrum, for those who know Gjerdrum, that had been avalanche, taking lives and houses in that town. So we've taken all those voices into also the city development, or how should the city be. But Frederic has been taking that project around many different places. So you can say something about that, maybe.
Yes. So this is the basis how we do it outside. And bringing it into the type of third space is what strikes me when you talk to youth is that a third space have to be safe. And what a safe space is different, but what we see, if we can create a space where you can talk about stuff that is unsafe, to talk about your first place and second space, that is really, that does something. And this project has in different ways had that opportunity to do it. At schools we have kids in groups, and all the illustrators are trained in a way to talk with the kids, interview them. But the baseline is that they ask, what are you missing? And then you can answer what you're missing in your life, if it's something physical, if it's something else. And going into schools just by asking this simple question and creating I would say a safe space, we'll learn stuff that you should think people should know. See what the next, yeah. Here we're actually going into a place that is run by the Red Cross, which is for youth that for different reasons doesn't feel safe other places. We also brought the project in, and what we saw here that we had to be here a couple of times, because the first time we just had to get to know the kids. And it wasn't us bringing the kids in. When we got a few ambassadors, the next time they brought new kids in. And at the third time we was there, we had this huge dinner party. It felt like it. Everyone started sharing. What we found out wasn't positive, but it was important to know. And they talked a lot about feeling unsafe in their own city. And by having the illustrations, the people running the place could bring down the police and the municipality, and they could actually see what the youth was thinking. Now they don't just know it, they have to actually act on it, which is interesting. And you can also see here, and this one is actually from one of the schools. It's really simple, but they didn't know, the students was really confused about that the sex education wasn't good enough. And just by this drawing, they changed the whole sex education in Moss by the youth school, because you just needed one voice to say it. And then they had the space outside to see it, and suddenly it was safe enough to talk about it. And that was it. They actually changed it by that simple drawing. And this is from the Red Cross in Sarpsborg, where we actually figure out that it's a lot of problems, but it's important that we know that they have the problems. It's really important that the kids are able to speak about it, and they really appreciate it that we listen to them, and they actually get this physical thing later on that other people can read. So I feel like the third space we made there is kind of still living on in the illustrations. Yeah, we're done. And,
a bit over, it should be a break, but we have two more organizations presenting, and then we're gonna have a small break.
Hi, thank you for so many nice presentations. We're gonna be short and clear. We are from Vega Scene. My name is Katinka.
And I'm Hannah.
I'm the artistic director, one of the two artistic directors in the theater. And
I'm the project manager for all the work that Vega does for children and youngsters or young adults.
And we also have one of our pedagogues here sitting on the Knut on the first line. Okay, so will you go? Let's go first. On the first, just go back. Sorry, I can do it. Let's swap. Okay, so Vega Scene opened in 2018. It's 5 years now. We are a place. We are actually the third space. I was thinking when I saw the notes from you, a third place. What's the difference between the place and the space? I think we are both. But this is our house, created to be a place for kids to come after school a few days a week. And now it's become almost every day during the week, because this has become a space in our community for kids. It says cinema, theater, food, and talk. And this has been our vision, our idea from the very beginning about what a house for theater new writing and indie film should be in our community. In the theatre, the average age is 38, which is very low if you compare it to the rest of the theatre community in Norway. And this is also the numbers of young people coming to our house. This is both the programs, the finished performances that we show them, but it's also this program we have during the week, which is called Vega Ung and Voksenfri, and now also Ukultur that we're going to talk about. And we see that the general audience for us, they come to Vega Scene because they want to know the new stuff. They want to know the new stuff first. Or they just feel that art is part of their life. It's an important part of their identity. Yeah. Our age group in Vega Ung and Voksenfri is from 9 to 26 years old. And we researched our area from when we opened, or before we opened. So this is also part of our business plan, in a way, because we knew in our area there's so many kids, there's so many children and families. And in order to make this theater work, we have to get them in. And we also have this older group, 26. For many of you, maybe this sounds old. But in the way we work with the exchange between the very young and the older kids or the young adults. And we find that very interesting. And we're going to come back to that when we talk about Vega Ung. So why did we make Vega this way for kids? And what were the things we wanted to give them? We wanted to be an including arena to create affiliation and to be a social meeting place in our diverse community. We wanted to give them knowledge of theatre and film as an important statement in society, and give children and young people a voice in the theatre, film, and society. So we wanted to give them the voice. We wanted to give them the opportunity to create theatre, to create the text. Improve physical and mental health. We know from what's going on in our community that many children sit still. They don't move enough. And also, there's a lot of mental health problems, not particularly in our area, but it's in increasing numbers in this group of people. So we wanted to help here. Co-creation and collaboration has been our goal from the beginning, and it's a method, but it's also how we work with other NGOs, like the Red Cross and private sponsors, to make kids that don't necessarily find their way to the theatre to come to us. And also, a very important thing that we learned from our community, if you want the kids to come, they have to get free food. And that's because after school, many of them are alone and they're hungry. So it's a very easy way to kind of invite them in and start to talk about theatre and film and then move on. Okay, great. I'm just going to jump this. You're just going to have a look at it. Now, you can take from today.
Yes. Okay, so I'm the project manager. I just started this fall, so I've been fortunate enough to further develop something that has been well established already. I want to talk quickly about our Tuesdays, because that's our most important day when it comes to the youngest group, who are 9 to 12. We offer a free both cinema club and theater group, and they meet at the same time on Tuesdays. First of all, like you mentioned, they get free food, and they also get the opportunity to socialize with people from their school and from other schools, and also with us as adults. And it's been established as a safe place where we see the same kids coming back over and over again, because they feel like their needs are being met and being acknowledged, and being able to socialize with each other and with us. And when it comes to the theater specifically, first of all, it's important to note that everything is free. And we find that that's very important in regards to promoting inclusion. Because you see with a lot of after-school activities, you need money or you need parents who are involved, but here we actually make sure that everybody can show up, regardless of who they are, how much money they have, etc. And in the theater in particular, we see that we're at full capacity, and now we actually have enough people to start another group. But that's another. We'll get back to that. But what has been crucial is engaging them both in theater, play, and games, but also including them in actually writing their own manuscripts, so that they actually get to create what they perform. And that has been a big part of making this such a popular offer. I could say a lot more, but I'm going to cut it off there. Thank you very much. Yeah, what? We're out of town. All right. Yeah, some quotes from the kids. So read them. That's what they have to say. Ask us after.
Hello, everyone. Last on out your coffee thirst. My name is Odden Sekkelsen. I'm the theater director for Kloden Theater. And if you are a bird flying over the Kloden Theater, this will be the sight you have. It's quite pretty, I think. You see the Oslo fjord and all the city. And the Kloden Theater was established in 2015, and we stand on the shoulder of the independent fields and scenekunstbruket for what has been developed there. And we wanted to make a place that it could be a shared space for developed both independent fields further on, and especially for young audiences, because the quality and it's so many groups, so many companies in Norway working with the independent performing arts for young audiences, and we wanted to be a part of developing it further. So when we talking about where we going to put this theater, we wanted to place it in Oslo, but a place where people are living, or soon living, because it's an industrial place. But in 5-10 years, it will be 100,000 new people living in the area, about a quarter from there. So. And of course, from the start, we and I think where the 3Place project also come from, we talked very early about making a 3Place. Where are the kids and the youth hanging around when they're not at home and not at school? So it's important for us to really learn from you guys that have a place already, and of course all the artistic practice in this companies in Norway. That as Panterei and Landing, and we will fill this house with this because we are programming theater, and we have not one method or one artistic practice, but we need the companies and the artistic competence that's out there. Yeah. And the inspiration, of course, was from the library. This Bibliotøyen and Art Wo's thoughts about how to be this 3Place and how to make it for the performing arts field. And we have a lot of work to do in this area to work with the community near, how to get the people in here. It's a lot of, we had 8,000 audience in the theater this year. And it's a very different audience than we see in other theaters in Oslo. And it's so important for us to work with the church and with the schools and with everyone in the near, and also have an international and a national ambition to connect that. And also, we cooperate with, this year is something about 40 of 40 to 50 companies in Norway and abroad, which is, as I said, the core in our what we're going to show there. To finish it, we like to make this dance floor. You know this this Tage Erlander, which was the prime minister in Sweden after the war, Second War. There's many wars, the Second World War. He was talking about, I'm thinking big now, but it's kloden, so it's a globe, jordkloden, so you can think big. He was talking about the social democracy. That the government should make this dance floor as a society. And the people are going to dance on that floor and make their lives. And we're going to catch them if they fall. And that's how we are thinking Kloden Theater as well. The artist and the young audience and everyone around, we want to make a safe space and yeah, make a third place for them.
Okay, 15. Yeah, we're gonna have a 15-minute break, and as I said, I would really like you to, engage with each other. You can talk to each other, note down some questions for later, and some interesting methods if you have anything to share. And then we will both have a discussion, and we will try to open up to you as well. But there is lunch over there on the bar counter. And enjoy your little break and see you back in a while, 15 minutes. So with you, just wherever you want to sit.
Is there a preference to?
No, just sit where you want. It's fine.
Mix up genders.
Yeah, mix up genders. That's what the. Yeah, make it an equitable space. Okay, I'm not gonna. I can sit here, or no, I can't sit there because I have this mic. Maybe I'll sit on the other. I can sit on the other side with this. Oh, there is a. Okay, great. Yeah, you sit there, and I can. No, I'll take this, and I'll be on the side. Okay, so welcome back, everyone. Like you heard, oops, no, that was not a good idea. Like you heard, I already have some questions. Can I get that chair? And just I'll sit kind of in front of you. Thank you. But I would really like actually to ask you guys if you have any kind of initial responses, something that you've been thinking about after this first session that you would like to contribute or ask, so that we open up the room from the very start. You don't have to, but if there's anything, I invite you to just, go ahead and ask. Anyone? No? Okay, that's fine. But I would really like to ask you and see who wants to kind of grab the mic first. To ask you. From your point of view, because you have a bit of a different perspective, either as institutions, different type of institutions, but still institutions or organizations, and artists who have not an individual but also a collective practice. But what is it that is there anything that you kind of feel that you are lacking and that you need to make this third space that you don't have today? It could be competence, it could be resources, it could be different things. What do you really need to make this space, this third space, do you think? Odne, you were...
Yeah, I can see very short. We need everything in a way because we are going to build a place.
Yeah.
And we are working together with Kuben Videregående, with the pupils and the artists and everything to try to... And that's why this project as well, to study and to investigate what's important to do when you build a new theater.
Mm. Yeah, Tomáš?
I think from the project that I presented, one of the challenges, at least with projects like Building Conversation, for example, is that it takes time, and it is for few people at the time. So it kind of it's the opposite of the need of filling up the seats, like the audience racks, for example. So as Frederic also pointed out, like reoccurring visits to a group, for example, it takes time, and then it also takes resources, and it's I would say not in conflict, but it's maybe also in conflict with the demands of increasing audience numbers.
Yeah, Katinka?
I would say that our challenge now is that we have so many kids that want to come to us, and we need actually to establish more groups, but we don't have the funding to do more than we do today. So we are in this question: what are we going to do with this? Are we going to? How are we going to? We want to keep it free. We want to keep it completely open, but this is a challenge.
Maybe for us, it's help to get into schools when we are not coming through the quest way. It's kind of explaining and trying to calm them that we are not dangerous. It's not dangerous to have us there. To be able to be in different institutions over longer periods and working close to the target groups.
Anne?
I think for us it's time and resources, of course. I think that's maybe an answer many of us probably have to that, what challenges you have, but maybe more importantly also researching into what collaboration can be and how to collaborate in the best possible way, because we all know that collaboration has challenges, because there's different viewpoints, there's different realities that are meeting together in a project. So research in collaboration as a framework, I think, would be really, really good in the perspective of third space.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was also thinking about, since you're creating a third space for the youth, what we're missing here is actually the youth. And I would say that it's so important to bring the youth into the process, and not just to bring them in. I would say you should give the youth the power and the money to do it. Because us creating it for them, it's kind of strange. I feel young, but my body and retracting hairline is kind of telling a different story. But I think and then we talked a lot to the youth, and every time we give them the responsibility, something happens, and it's hard for us to create that space. So the more we actually can give it away from us, what we can give them, we can give them trust, and we can give them support in many ways.
For us, it's not just that we lack something, but the challenging thing on this third place topic for us is that that we are theater for children and youth, which means in the Czech context that we are mainly viewed as a theater for kids. And when you are a youngster, teenager, there is nothing less, let's say, fancy than to visit a kids' theater. So that's the point. What we are still trying to find instruments or tools, ways how to show them that that we don't see them in any let's say infantile or childish way. That we really consider them, that we see them, that we want to cooperate with them as young people, not as children.
But do you think, as a theatre house, is our theatre houses the ideal third space for young people? Do you think?
Well, partly. It's just, of course, it's in the it's about the decision making that we just do some public service for children and youth, and we don't want to lose it, to skip it, to give it up. So I think that the theater for youth, I mean especially for youth, for youngsters, could be ideal third place for them. We are not going to be one because we still want to do this public service also to the younger audience or younger target groups. So that means that we need to balance it somehow. But I think it's possible and it's worth to find these ways.
Yeah, cool.
I have something I thought about as a challenge, which is more of this community political side. During the last election, AUF in Oslo made this little video about you believe that you can solve gang problems with culture, and a small Instagram thing, and we felt that Vega, that we don't solve gang problems, but we talk about problems. We talk about things that actually changes the way the young people are thinking or the kids are thinking. So in a way, I feel that when we're working in this cross field of social and art, which is connected, we need some documentation that what our work is worth in a community, because it's important for the politician to see that it actually works. But how does it work, and how can we document that? Yeah.
So documentation is kind of a challenge to everyone working, so that we need to both connect to research, but also make that documentation yourself. And I guess that is also something that you are doing also in this third space project. But what about the challenges for you at Yes?
I want to add on I heard a lot of people say, and we come from the same question, that you ask young people what you want, what you need, and this should be the starting point. And I find that quite tricky. I find it very tricky because the young people is also a form that we say, oh, you are young, you are the people that we want the information, or we want to give up power, or we want to give you money, or we want to give you resources. And I find that quite challenging to not to do the giving up part, but to find a group that wants something from us. And I think it comes from the question, or what we lack is I think for us is more institutions in our city where children realize, or young people realize, we can have a demand, or we can use spaces and feel safe to use them and to demand things. And because we as a theatre, I think we are a great place where, because we are a theatre where you can have output and where you can work on things and show things, but the challenging part is before that. How do you form a group? How do you feel, okay, we can do that here? And I find that I'm not sure if this is really what we can do as a theatre, but maybe we have to find more spaces and collaborate with them to have young people who feel empowered to use the theatre as a place, as a third place for sharing knowledge and presenting themselves.
Anna, I think you would like...
Yeah, I just want to pick up on that because I think that's, of course, a huge challenge. I mean, you really need to reach out and get hold of the people that you think need or want to collaborate with you, or would want to dive into the arts. And one project that I felt that we actually managed to do this, but that showed the challenge also, is that another project at Rommen Scene, it's actually quite a few years ago now, they used to have a youth club called The Planet at Stovner. And The Planet was a super safe place for young people in Stovner, and it was very, very popular, and it recruited young people from across the borough. And when we went to Rommen, we were discussing with the theatre, where are they now? Where are the people that we want to communicate to, that we have something that you could involve yourself in if you want to? And they said, okay, this place is The Planet. So we went and talked to The Planet, and then we realized that at The Planet, they have employed a father of one of the young people who's got a Pakistani descent. And there's a huge Pakistani community, or used to be, at Stovner. And he visited all the homes, every home. So the first space, the first place. And he talked to them, made sure that all the parents understood that The Planet is a safe place for your kids to go. And this made the number of young people at The Planet huge. They had to expand. And when we then went to The Planet and explained what it is that we could offer to them, there were loads of young people coming to us. And then they went into Rommen Scene and created this space together with us. But you know the amount of work that takes? We can't bagatellisere. You know, it's actually a job that needs to be done. And it goes beyond the art itself. So how do we kind of collaborate? That's what I mean by collaboration. Investing in the research of collaboration. How can we manage to involve ourselves in both the first and the second space in order to create the third? I think a lot of the answers are there, but we need to invest in that.
I think it's also different types of realities, being in institutions and artists, and also kind of what do you see as your main mission or target? Is it to kind of bring in more audiences? Is it to create new and interesting arts through meeting new people and collaborating with them, or you know, what is it? And you talked a little bit about this kind of different agendas. And for you, is it about engaging new audiences, or it's about developing art through meeting? Would you like to say something about that?
Yeah, I think for us, it's at least what we. I think we wouldn't use all the time to go to these different places and meeting all these children if we were not interested in what it did to us as artists, and what how it can challenge and make us do something different. And I feel it's at least it's important maybe to be aware of that. It's too, or it feels like in the third place project that it's these two agendas maybe cross over a bit. That it's both about how you can make this one experience that you do through meeting and through making an artistic expression that that actually hit someone there and then, and it doesn't need to be more than that somehow. But also about how more in the audience development direction. So it's this, at least this was for me when I was reading the proposition that you sent, Gabrielle. It was I felt that it was two agendas that is overlapping or intercrossing with each other there. So maybe I can also ask Gabrielle what if you have talked about this, that it's different motivations maybe to wanting to reach another target group.
Yes, definitely. It's crossing, and it's the friction that is really exciting in this project that we run. Because we, as one hand, we say we want to reach audience that today don't see performing arts as a place for them. So it's also we want new people in. Then we need to take care of the one that already chose us. Then the same with artists, that we want to facilitate for artist development, but also recruit new artistic ways and researches and methods, and the universities and other fields. So yeah, it's in the friction that is really interesting and hard for the project.
But this is also one of the essential conflicts in the kind of audience development field, because where is your main loyalty? Is it to kind of democratizing culture? Is it to your current audience? Is it to art? Or where is it? But you have a comment, and you have a response first, and then you can I do that? Yeah.
I just want to add it to the tricky question about asking youngsters what they want to see, what they want to experience in the theater. From the point of the artist, of the theater maker, I still think, and it's not in opposite to anything being said, but mostly I think from the very beginning there must be the artist who wants, as an individual or as a group, to express himself, themselves, to share his own fears, knowledge, talent, if he has some. That's why I liked it that while you were presenting that you were about the schools, that you need to challenge yourself, and that was the main attitude, the main reason to do this thing. And I think it's still important because while I'm doing theater for adults, I'm asking no one what he wants to see. I just express myself, and I just want to do it for youngsters too. Hopefully, I'll meet them somehow. If not, I cannot do it, and there is probably someone else who can.
Yeah. Before I give you the word, I'm just going to say that we have 15 minutes left. So if you want to ask something or comment something, get ready to do that, because if not, you will lose the chance. Yeah, Katinka, you go, and then I know, but Katinka has been waiting, so I will. Yeah.
We solved this question, or thought about this question in a slightly different way. We decided very quickly that we're going to start a directors group with the kids, so that we are making young directors direct the kids rather than older directors direct kids. So we have a directing group, and also with the youngest ones, they create their own texts. So that this is the artistic method of all we do, is that they are creating the piece, and they're also helping them to become working leaders together with us. But they are in very much so in charge. So we made this decision after 1 year.
Tomáš, you wanted to say something, or
but if somebody out there can
we can do that first. Yeah, I think it was you first. Would you introduce yourself?
Yes, my name is Dorte, and I'm from Okay, I'll use this. My name is Dorte, and I'm from Teatercentrum in Denmark. And I'm just thinking, I think this whole concept of the third place is really interesting, because I know that we've been working with this in a lot of different ways. I've worked in a producing theater company as well as now in Teatercentrum, so I know we've been using this, and it's just really interesting to have now that terminology talking about it. But I think what's really important is to know what is the goal, because if your goal is to increase the number of audiences in the shows that I'm making right now, then you're going to have to push the young people you meet in order to get them to go exactly where you want them. So I think what we need to do is to be open to where this can lead us. So if we succeed in making the third place and meeting the young people there, making the place for them to be, then they will probably provide us with knowledge as to what they think about, what they worry about, what's important to them. And if we listen, then maybe that will also affect the way that we produce art and the stories that we need to tell in order for them to be part of it or wanting to have it. So I think right now, the most challenging thing right now is that we're really eager to get some more, to find the audience and to increase the numbers in theater. So how can we do it? But this process is a longer process. And so we have to be, just to be able to wait and go with the flow of that process.
Absolutely, it's a good comment. I think it's also plays into something that you touched upon, and that is, are you willing to also change your way of working, your operations, how you essentially think about yourself and your task? Do you want to
Maybe respond? I can share one finding that we had already in the first year of trying this, and I think it helps to name it, helps us as an institution to sometimes stop and step back and look at what we actually still always doing, but then to have these glasses on. We tried something called Fancy Fridays, and we said every second Friday we have something that's not theater in our theater. It can be, there was a karaoke night, and when we had a drag show, and we tried different things. And what we found out after a year is that a lot of nights no one came. It was us singing karaoke, which was a bit sad. But we found out when it worked. We, for example, one time partnered with a queer sports club in Stuttgart, and they said, "Oh, we want to have an event with you, queer." It was a drag Zumba. And you have a space, you have a nice, it looks nicer in the theater than in the sports hall. So we said, sure, come. And then we had 45, 50 people coming. But they were all 25 and older. And it was like, oh, maybe I've found something else. And what we tried this year is that we handed over, and this comes back to you, handed over the curation of these Fancy Fridays to a person who's connected to a theater, because we have a lot of young people working at the bar who study art or are somehow connected, and also the interns that we have are 19. So we're like, we have young people in the theater. So they curate now the Fancy Fridays, and what changes is that the peer-to-peer moment works, that they invite people that they feel, and they come because, someone in my age is organizing this. And I think we as an institution can be part of the learning process. We can also join there and meet and have somehow a meeting point, and not us being like, oh, now come and tell us something, but we can meet and share things. I think this is one major outcome that we had of the stepping back and looking at what we tried.
Thank you. I know that Tomáš and Anne want to say something, but is it okay that we let one more question? I think there was, yes? Introduce yourself and then question.
Hello, it's Hege Polstrø. I'm working at Kulturum. Used to work for Scenekunstbruket, so I know this project very well since I was writing the application together with you. It's really nice hearing you all, and I'm very glad for the last input I got there from Frederic, because I was actually also wondering a bit, because now I'm hearing stories about what the artists want to give, and also what you provide for the young. But also, I was also wondering about the third place as a place, theater place, maybe where theater didn't happen, or how do you reach people, or how do you let young people use the space and feel like they can be there without being that much interested in theater as such, but hang about. I've been lucky enough to work in performing places where we had hangabouts. I mean, people who just wanted to be there with the other people. And, then it gave me that part partially answer. So I was a bit curious about this free role. You know, have you been exploring that? Yeah.
Anyone want to answer to that? Yeah.
Just like to add to the answer that I gave. What we also find out, we are, as I mentioned, where we are based in the city, we're not a hangout. No one comes to hang out. They come when we organize something. And this is also where we can relax, because we won't be that place, but we will be in third place in a different way. Also to find out things that you are not.
Tomáš.
No, we're not a place either where people hang out. We're located also like outside, just where the city development ended, kind of thing. There we are. We will develop, but I just came into my mind. It pops up every now and then. You as well. And we went to this trip in Paris around the different theaters in 2018, I think, or 19. Yeah. But it was like it's outside the center. It was a very diverse area where a new theater was established, and they said like also got huge social rooms there. And they said the first thing we planned for was the restaurant. What should the menu be like? You know, before the stage and the program. But the second was like to form the rooms. They were also aware of the different cultural backgrounds of the people living around there. So they invited, made a huge like study group. Like, how do you like to sit or be? And it turned out like somebody liked to sit very low, for example, to feel comfortable, or high, or like in big groups. And that kind of group of the individuals living around, having different ways of being social together, shaped the room. And it kind of stuck with me as I never seen a place that took that so seriously before, but that place got used a lot of people just hanging about because they felt comfortable in their sitting situation. Yeah.
Thank you. Anne, I think you also had a...
Can I just follow up on that just a little bit?
Yes,
this
of course.
is a different thing. But we love touring the UK and through National Rural Touring Network. I don't know if there's any British people in the room. There's one. We love it. And I just have to say that there's a huge network of small village hall and small theatres that already is this hangout place and social space for people living in their community. And for us as artists to be able to come into those hangout places and collaborate is fantastic. I just have to say that, because in That's the Room, we experience the most diverse audience we get. And I think that's because it is that social room. So, a good question. But what I was going to say is that sometimes I think it's good to use the noble art of redefining and not talk about audience development as bums on seats, but talk about equity and ownership. If we turn it around like that, it's a whole different ballgame. Then you're looking for answers to those two questions. How can I make sure equity and ownership happens? And that's a different thing. And sometimes you only need 10 people in the room for that. But also sometimes there will be greater numbers of people in the theatre when you think about that. Yeah.
I think Odna, I see you. We have very little time left, but I think I would like to have one question from the room first.
Takk. Amund heter jeg. I'm an artist. Amund is my name. I'm just curious because when you presented earlier, and this goes back to the question of agenda or why this project. Almost all of you has talked about safe places. I think maybe not all of you, but almost all of you. Safe places, the need of safe places. I have never ever heard anyone talk about that when speaking about art for adults. So this idea that the theater is supposed to be a safe place, I mean, it's not. I'm not saying it should be unsafe. I'm just wondering the function here or the ambition. Why this project? If the agenda is to create safe places for young people, I'm not sure I would go to theater makers. You know, somebody talked about the planet at Rommen. Maybe those people are better at making safe places. So I'm again wondering about the agenda. There might be different agendas or some thoughts about why the project at all.
Yeah, It's a great question. Would anyone like to answer? Or if you, maybe you who wrote the project application?
I just maybe can share a bit my own doubts about this safe place concept, because while we were talking about it, I mean, not just in an application for third place, but even in our theater, when talking about the code of conduct and things, I think for me, like what for me is connected with art itself, it's some uncertainty, something that it's that is balancing on the edge, and I want to keep it in a theater, even for the theater for children, even for theater for youngsters. So I just believe and understand the concept of the safe place, that it's what needs to be safe, it's the possibility for the audience, but even for the artist, to share your doubts, to share your approach, to discuss your feelings and things, but the art experience itself can still, for me, still needs to be challenging in that point of view, if I express myself.
Wenche, did you also want to respond? And then now we have to start thinking about wrapping up, unfortunately. Yeah.
For us, I feel it's always this balance between not maybe thinking about us creating a safe space, but creating a relation and some way to relate to the audience that we make a performance for. But at the same time making friction or challenging them. So I feel it's always looking for what kind of balance can we have here. Both in the process but also in the performative situation. So it's
I think there was one more, and that will be the last question, and we have to wrap up. But I also encourage you all to keep on discussing, and you will meet each other the next days probably also. So there's ample time to discuss. Go ahead.
Hi, thanks. I'm Ruth Hardy. I'm from the South Bank Centre in London. I was actually going to ask about impact, and something that we find really difficult to do, and that we see in our venue, sort of the anecdotal ways in which this kind of work can sort of change and affect people. I think Copper might sort of be able to talk to that as well, but we find it quite difficult to demonstrate. But after what you said, I'm sorry, I feel like I need to speak a bit to the idea of safe spaces for adults, because I think that is really key in venues. We are a place, I don't know if you know South Bank, it's a big multi-art form centre on the river, and we're open all day, every day, apart from Christmas Day, basically. So we are a space that people come to hang out. And in sort of point to the idea of equity and inclusion and how you democratise the use of that space and how you give it over, we talk about that all of the time, because it's really important, because we're publicly funded. And I think we've almost forgotten as a sector that we do need to be a safe place for adults, because we've got a very key group of adults that come to our buildings, but we're almost not seeing the ones that don't, and that don't feel safe there. And so actually a big part of what we're doing is like, how do we give that ownership over to the adult groups that don't feel safe, that aren't coming? And right now for us, that does start with children and young people and making sure they're in the decision making, but it has to go all the way up. Like, there's so many people that don't feel safe in our building, and their taxes are funding it to be open. So I don't think that we maybe don't talk about it, but we should. But yeah, my question, sorry, was about like, how do you demonstrate impact beyond anecdotally? Like, how do you measure that? That's something we're finding hard to do, and I'd love to know if you found a way.
How do you measure impact, the actual consequence of what you do? And we are very short of time, so would you like to say something on that?
No, I just want to say that it's a very important question, and I think it's not we don't have the tools, I think, also in the highest level to really take that into account, because now audience numbers is the best way to measure, but not the best way, but it's the way, kind of like the practical way. And of course, that's all broadened up. For us, we have to report as a theater. But it's also a constant dialogue of how can you measure impact? How can you do that? Is it like, it's pretty hard, you know, but it's also acknowledged here in Norway that it's need to be done in a way to see what kind of, can we talk about relevance? You know, can we, how can we measure relevance? How can we measure time? That's easy, but the relevance is harder. But yeah, I think that's very important, and it also comes down to this thing that pops up again, like the. Is it more important to play for 1,000 people or for 10 that really makes it like huge impact that changes the way they live their lives?
That's, I think that's actually a very nice place to end. I want to thank all of you that shared your projects and your experiences and also kind of reflections on this, which is a very kind of a field where there are a lot of challenges, a lot of work to be done, and a lot of very interesting things that are being done. And thank you to all of you for joining us, and for people watching on the stream. And thank you to Scenekunstbruket for making this happen, and to Dansens Hus for hosting it. Yeah, and enjoy the festival. And yes, and I would really like to have a chat with you. Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much.